Emma's heart felt like it might burst as she walked slowly down the aisle, her hand gripping her father's arm just a little tighter than usual. The church was filled with a soft murmur of guests, family and friends gathered for a day they had all anticipated for months. The sunlight streamed gently through the stained glass windows, casting colorful patterns on the polished floor. Everything seemed perfect. Yet deep inside, Emma felt a strange weight pressing on her chest, a quiet unease she couldn't shake. Her eyes searched the room briefly, landing on Daniel. He stood at the altar, his back straight, his dark eyes fixed ahead. The man she was about to marry looked calm, almost too calm. Emma remembered the way he had avoided her gaze over the last few days, how his smiles felt forced, like a mask hiding something beneath. But she pushed those thoughts away. Today was their day. It had to be perfect. As the organ played the first notes, the room hushed. Emma's footsteps echoed softly in the aisle. She focused on Daniel's face, trying to find the love she remembered from when they first met. Yet, all she saw now was distance. Her heart flickered with a sudden question. Was this really what she wanted? Her mind raced back to the last conversation she had with Daniel just a few nights ago. He had been quiet, distracted, and when she asked if everything was okay, he had only smiled thinly and said, "Of course." But Emma had known. She had always known when something was wrong. Her father squeezed her hand reassuringly, sensing her hesitation. "You'll be fine," he whispered softly, though his eyes betrayed his own worry. Emma reached the altar and stood beside Daniel. The priest began the ceremony, but Emma's attention kept drifting. She caught the flicker of a message on Daniel's phone just moments before he slipped it back into his pocket, a message from an unknown number that vanished before she could read it. Her throat tightened. The guests watched with anticipation, unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface. Emma took a deep breath and looked out over the crowd. Among the familiar faces, she noticed something unusual. An expensive black car slowly pulling up outside the church doors. It was out of place, sleek and polished, its arrival unnoticed by most. But to Emma, it felt like a crack in the glass of her perfect day. Before she could ask her father who it was, the car door opened. A tall man stepped out, impeccably dressed in a tailored suit. His presence was magnetic, confident, calm, with eyes that seemed to hold 1,000 secrets. Alexander, the billionaire who had made headlines for his mysterious wealth and reclusive lifestyle. Emma had heard stories about him, but never imagined he would appear here, today, at her wedding. The murmurs began as Alexander entered the church quietly, but with purpose. The guests turned their heads, whispering questions and speculation. Daniel's jaw tightened. Emma felt the tension in the air spike like electricity before a storm. She had no idea why Alexander was here, but she knew this was not a coincidence. Alexander approached the altar, stopping just a few steps away from the couple. Without a word, he reached into his coat and pulled out a small, velvet box. The room fell completely silent, all eyes locked on the mysterious object in his hands. Emma's breath hitched. The velvet box looked out of place in the wedding ceremony, but its presence felt heavy, as if carrying a message meant only for her. Daniel's face paled slightly, his fingers clenched into fists at his sides. Alexander opened the box slowly. Inside lay a breathtaking diamond necklace, more exquisite than anything Emma had ever seen. It shimmered under the church lights, sparkling like a cluster of stars captured forever in the delicate chains. A collective gasp escaped from the crowd. Emma's eyes widened. She reached out instinctively, but Alexander held the box just out of her reach. The necklace was clearly meant for her, but from whom? And why reveal it now? Daniel's fury broke the silence like a sudden thunderclap. His voice was sharp and accusing. "What are you doing here? This is not your place." Alexander's gaze remained steady. "Emma deserves to know the truth," he said quietly. The words hung in the air, heavier than any vow. Emma's heart pounded wildly. The perfect day she had imagined was unraveling before her eyes. She looked at Daniel, her fiancé, who no longer seemed like the man she thought she knew, and at Alexander, whose quiet presence now felt like a turning point she could not ignore. The necklace sparkled between them, a symbol of secrets, of pasts buried deep, and of truths waiting to be told. Emma took a breath, knowing that nothing about this day would ever be the same again. The tension in the church was palpable as Alexander's calm voice rippled through the silence. Guests shifted in their seats, unsure whether to gasp, murmur, or stay perfectly still. Emma's mind raced, trying to piece together the significance of the necklace and the man who had just appeared like a ghost from her past. Daniel's glare burned into Alexander as if willing him to disappear. "You have no right to be here," he hissed, voice low but fierce. "This is my wedding." His hands clenched tightly, knuckles white. But Alexander didn't flinch. Instead, he took a slow step forward, his eyes never leaving Emma's. "Emma," Alexander said, his tone softer now, "this necklace belonged to your mother. It was lost years ago, stolen from her family, taken during a difficult time." His words seemed to echo in the room, heavier than any sermon. "I've searched for it for years. When I found it, I promised myself I'd return it to its rightful owner." Emma's breath caught. Her mother had never spoken much about her past. There were stories, yes, whispered memories of hardship and loss, but the details were always vague. Emma had never imagined that a piece of her mother's history could be held in something so beautiful, or that it would be unveiled here, now, at her wedding. Daniel's anger shifted into something colder, more calculating. "And you think showing up here with that trinket will change anything? This wedding isn't about your secrets." His voice cracked, revealing a strain beneath the bravado. Emma swallowed hard. Her heart pulled in two directions, between the man she was about to marry and the stranger holding her mother's past in his hands. She needed answers, but fear and confusion held her tongue. Alexander carefully closed the velvet box and looked directly at Daniel. "This isn't about me or you. It's about Emma, and the truth she deserves to know." His gaze softened as he turned back to Emma. "You were never told everything, were you?" The question hung in the air, a fragile thread waiting to be pulled. Emma shook her head slowly. "No," she whispered. "I don't know. Not really." Her eyes filled with tears she fought to hold back. How could she have lived all these years without knowing such an important part of herself? Whispers spread through the crowd. Some guests exchanged glances, sensing the unfolding drama was far more than a wedding interruption. Emma's closest friends looked at her with concern, while her family members remained frozen, unsure how to react. Daniel's face darkened. He took a step closer to Emma, as if to protect or control her. "You don't need his stories," he said, voice low and possessive. "Forget this. Focus on us. On today." But Emma felt a growing strength inside her, a quiet voice telling her that she needed to hear Alexander out. That maybe, just maybe, this was the moment she could uncover something that had been hidden for too long. "Please," Emma said, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "Tell me everything. I need to understand." Alexander nodded and began to speak, his voice steady but filled with emotion. He told the story of the necklace, passed down through generations, a symbol of hope and resilience for Emma's family. How it was stolen in a moment of betrayal, lost to time, and how he had searched relentlessly to bring it back. He spoke of Emma's mother, her struggles, her sacrifices, and the secrets she had kept to protect her family. With every word, Emma felt layers of her past unfold, revealing a history far richer and more complicated than she had imagined. Daniel watched silently, his anger now replaced with a guarded silence. Emma could see the cracks in his composure, but wasn't sure if they were cracks of guilt, fear, or something else entirely. As Alexander finished, the church remained quiet, the weight of the story settling like dust in the air. Emma's eyes met Daniel's one last time. There was something unspoken between them now, something that changed everything. She looked down at the necklace, still glinting in Alexander's hand, and felt the undeniable pull of the past merging with her present. This was no longer just a wedding day. It was the beginning of a journey, one she wasn't sure she was ready to take, but knew she couldn't ignore. Outside, the sun continued to shine, but inside Emma felt the world shift beneath her feet. The secrets, the lies, and the love all tangled together in a knot she needed to unravel. And somehow, she knew the answers would come, not from Daniel, but from the man standing quietly beside her, holding her past in the palm of his hand. Alexander's calm presence filled the room as he gently closed the velvet box, the diamond necklace resting like a secret between his fingers. Emma's eyes were fixed on him, her mind spinning with questions she didn't know how to ask. The church felt heavier now, like the walls themselves were holding their breath. Daniel's glare was sharp and unyielding, but Emma noticed something beneath it, a flicker of something more complicated, maybe fear. He stepped closer to her, voice low but trembling just slightly. "This is a mistake. You don't need him to tell you who you are." Emma looked away, torn. For years, she had built a life on the love she believed she and Daniel shared, on the promises whispered late at night. But now, everything felt fragile. The necklace in Alexander's hand wasn't just a piece of jewelry. It was a key, unlocking a part of her past she had never seen. Alexander's voice broke the silence. "Emma, there are things you've never been told. Secrets your family kept to protect you. This necklace is part of that story." He took a slow breath, steady and sure. "Your mother was stronger than anyone ever gave her credit for. And her story doesn't end the way you think." Emma's throat tightened. She had always admired her mother, but had never known the struggles hidden behind her quiet smile. She felt a sudden wave of sadness mixed with curiosity. What had her mother gone through? What had she sacrificed? Daniel's fingers clenched the edge of his jacket. "Enough," he said sharply. "You're letting this stranger rewrite your past. This isn't about truth, it's about control." His voice cracked, revealing more than anger. There was pain, confusion, and perhaps regret. Emma took a step back from Daniel, the distance between them growing like a canyon. Her heart pounded as the truth began to settle in, like rain soaking through a dry earth. She realized she had been living in a carefully constructed world, but now that world was crumbling. Alexander opened the box again, this time offering the necklace gently toward Emma. "It's yours," he said simply. "A reminder of where you come from and who you really are." His eyes were kind, but there was a seriousness she couldn't ignore. Emma reached out, her fingers trembling as she touched the cool diamonds. The weight of the necklace felt heavier than expected, like it carried generations of history and untold stories. She clutched it to her chest, feeling a strange comfort despite the chaos swirling around her. Daniel looked at her then, and something in his expression softened, but it was quickly replaced by a shadow of doubt. "If you want to believe his story," he said quietly, "then maybe we're not meant to be." His words cut deeper than any argument. Emma's breath hitched. The man she loved, or thought she loved, was pulling away, but for the first time, she wasn't afraid. She looked at Alexander, who nodded encouragingly. The necklace was more than a symbol. It was an invitation to uncover truths buried beneath years of silence. "Tell me everything," Emma whispered. "I want to know." Her voice was steady, even though her heart was breaking. Alexander began to share the story of her mother's past, a tale of resilience and heartbreak, of a family torn apart by betrayal and loss. He spoke of stolen heirlooms, hidden letters, and sacrifices made to protect those she loved most. Each word painted a picture of a woman Emma barely recognized, yet felt connected to more deeply than ever. As Alexander spoke, Emma's eyes filled with tears, tears of sorrow, understanding, and something new. Hope. Hope that the pieces of her past could come together, even if it meant letting go of the life she had planned. Daniel stood silently, watching. His anger had faded, replaced by a quiet resignation. Emma knew that this moment marked a turning point, not just for her wedding, but for her entire life. The church clock chimed softly, reminding everyone that time moved forward, whether they were ready or not. Emma clutched the necklace once more, feeling the strength of the generations before her. She knew the journey ahead wouldn't be easy, but for the first time, she felt ready to face it. In that moment, surrounded by whispers and glances, Emma made a silent promise, to herself, to her mother's memory, and to the future she still had the power to shape. The necklace sparkled softly in her hand, a beacon in the uncertain darkness. And somewhere deep inside, Emma understood that sometimes the greatest gifts come wrapped in secrets waiting to be uncovered. The church was thick with tension as Emma held the diamond necklace close, its cold weight a sharp contrast to the warmth she felt rising in her chest. The murmurs of the guests faded into the background, leaving only the heavy silence between her, Daniel, and Alexander. The perfect wedding she had imagined was unraveling, thread by thread, in a way she never could have anticipated. Daniel's eyes darkened with a mixture of anger and something deeper, fear, maybe guilt. He took a step toward Emma, his voice low but shaking. Why did you need to hear his story? Don't you see? This isn't just about the necklace. It's about tearing us apart. Emma looked at him, really looked, and saw the cracks beneath the surface of the man she thought she knew, the man she had planned to spend her life with. Suddenly, all the quiet moments of doubt she'd pushed aside came rushing back. The coldness in his glance, the secretive phone calls, the distance she felt when she needed him most. Her voice was steady but soft. Daniel, I don't know who you are anymore. And maybe I never did. She took a breath, trying to steady the storm inside her. This necklace isn't just a piece of jewelry. It's a part of my history, a history I was kept from. I need to understand it. Alexander nodded silently, watching the exchange with quiet patience. He stepped forward and opened the velvet box once again, lifting the necklace carefully. The diamonds caught the light and sparkled like stars, mesmerizing in their brilliance. But it wasn't the beauty of the necklace that held Emma's attention. It was the story it represented. This necklace belonged to your grandmother, Alexander began. She was a woman of incredible strength and sacrifice. When she was young, her family was torn apart by betrayal. The necklace was taken from her during those dark times, a symbol of everything she lost. Emma's heart pounded. She had heard bits and pieces about her grandmother's past, but nothing like this. The story was more than she had ever imagined, full of danger, heartbreak, and resilience. She never spoke about it, Alexander continued. But I made it my mission to find it. When I finally did, I wanted to return it to you quietly, to help heal what was broken. Daniel's face twisted with anger. And you think this changes anything? You think this necklace can fix years of lies? Emma shook her head slowly. No, it can't fix everything. But it can start to uncover the truth. She looked at Daniel, searching his face for answers. His hands trembled slightly, betraying the calm he tried to show. Why didn't you tell me about any of this? Daniel's voice cracked. Because it wasn't my story to tell. Because I was afraid. Afraid it would change everything. Emma's eyes filled with tears, not just sadness, but a deep sense of betrayal. You should have trusted me. The room seemed to hold its breath as the weight of the moment sank in. Emma's wedding day was no longer about a celebration. It had become a reckoning, a moment where past and present collided. She tightened her grip on the necklace, feeling its significance more than ever. It was more than an heirloom. It was a lifeline to her roots, a reminder that she was stronger than the secrets that tried to define her. Alexander's voice softened. Sometimes the hardest truths are the ones we need the most. Emma, this necklace is a part of your family's legacy, one that deserves to be honored. Emma looked around at the faces watching her, the guests, her family, the people who had come to witness her marriage. She realized that today was no longer just about love between two people. It was about courage, about facing the shadows of the past to find a brighter future. She took a deep breath, steadying herself. I don't know where this path will lead, she said quietly, but I know I can't ignore it anymore. Not if I want to be true to myself. Daniel looked at her one last time, his expression unreadable. Then, without another word, he turned away, leaving the church in stunned silence. Emma felt a mixture of sadness and relief. The man she had planned to marry was no longer the person standing beside her. But in the space he left, a new strength was growing, a strength born from truth, honesty, and the courage to face what lay ahead. The necklace sparkled softly in her hand, a beacon of hope and a promise of healing. Emma knew that her journey was just beginning, and though the road was uncertain, she was ready to walk it, one step at a time. Emma sat quietly in the now empty church, the weight of the diamond necklace resting on her palm. The room, once filled with hope and celebration, felt cold and distant, like a place frozen in time. The echoes of Daniel's footsteps fading down the aisle lingered in her ears, a painful reminder that everything she thought she knew was changing. She stared at the necklace, its brilliance a stark contrast to the turmoil inside her. It wasn't just a piece of jewelry anymore. It was a symbol of the life she was about to reclaim. But reclaiming her past meant facing truths that had been buried for years, and that scared her more than she wanted to admit. Her phone buzzed quietly in her pocket. It was a message from Alexander. Asterisk, if you want to know more, meet me at the cafe on 5th Street. No pressure. Asterisk, the simplicity of the message surprised her. No demands, no urgency, just an offer to continue the story. Emma sighed and slipped the necklace carefully into her purse. She knew she had to meet him. There were questions she needed answered, pieces of her family's history she had to understand if she ever wanted to move forward. The cafe was small and quiet, tucked away between two busy streets. When Emma arrived, Alexander was already there, sitting by the window with a cup of coffee and a calm expression. His presence felt reassuring, like a steady anchor in the chaos of her thoughts. Without waiting for her to sit, he began. There's more to your family story, things your mother never spoke about. The necklace was just the beginning. Emma leaned in, her heart pounding. Tell me. Alexander's voice dropped to a whisper. Your grandmother was part of a group that protected something much bigger than just a necklace. It was about safeguarding a legacy, knowledge and power that, if it fell into the wrong hands, could change everything. Emma's eyes widened. What kind of power? Alexander paused, choosing his words carefully. It wasn't magic or money. It was influence, connections, secrets, alliances. Your family was tied to people who shaped history behind the scenes. When the necklace was stolen, it wasn't just a theft. It was an attack on everything your grandmother stood for. Emma's mind raced. Her family had always seemed ordinary, even quiet. She had never imagined such a hidden world beneath their surface. "Why didn't my mother tell me?" Emma asked, voice barely above a whisper. "Because she wanted to protect you," Alexander said gently. "She hoped you could live a normal life, free from the burdens she carried." Emma clenched her fists. "But I'm already caught in it." Alexander nodded. "That's why I came today. To give you a choice, to step into the truth or walk away." Emma looked down at the necklace resting on the table between them. The diamond sparkled, reflecting the sunlight in the cafe. It was beautiful, but it was also a reminder of everything she had lost, and everything she still needed to find. "I want to know," she said firmly, "even if it's hard." Alexander smiled, a flicker of relief in his eyes. "Good, because the past isn't done with you yet." Over the next hour, Alexander shared stories of her grandmother's bravery, of secret meetings, coded letters, and hidden allies. He told Emma about a powerful enemy who wanted the necklace, and the secrets it represented destroyed. Emma felt a mixture of fear and determination. The world she thought she lived in was far more complex and dangerous than she ever imagined. As she left the cafe, clutching the necklace in her hand, Emma knew her life had changed forever. She wasn't just a bride whose wedding had fallen apart. She was the last link to a legacy she had to protect. The road ahead was uncertain and filled with shadows, but for the first time, Emma felt ready to face whatever came next. Because sometimes, the greatest gifts come wrapped in secrets, and the bravest hearts are those willing to uncover the truth. Emma's world shifted again as she stepped out of the cafe, the diamond necklace heavy in her hand and heavier still in her thoughts. The sun was beginning to set, casting long shadows across the city streets, and for the first time in days, she felt the weight of her family's legacy settling firmly on her shoulders. She had thought her biggest challenge was right here, choosing between Daniel and the truth Alexander revealed. But now, she realized the danger was far greater. This necklace was more than an heirloom. It was a symbol of a battle fought in secret, a battle she was suddenly part of. Her phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. Asterisk, "Stop digging, Emma. Some secrets are better left buried." Asterisk, the message sent a chill through her. Someone was watching. Someone didn't want the past uncovered. Fear prickled at the edges of her mind, but determination surged stronger. Emma knew she couldn't run. Not now. Not when so much was at stake. That night, she sat by the window, necklace glinting softly on the table. Memories of her mother flashed through her mind, her gentle smile, the way she would quietly brush her hair back, the sadness that sometimes flickered in her eyes. Emma wished she could ask her mother everything, but she was gone now, leaving behind only fragments and unanswered questions. Alexander's words echoed in her head, about secret meetings, coded letters, and powerful enemies. Emma's heart raced as she realized this was no longer just about family history. This was about survival. The next morning, she decided to visit the old family home, an aging mansion filled with dusty memories and hidden corners. If anyone had answers, it would be there. Inside, the house smelled of faded perfume and forgotten stories. Emma moved carefully through the rooms, touching the worn furniture and old photographs. Her fingers traced the outline of a faded letter on a dusty desk. It was addressed to her mother, but the ink was nearly illegible. She unfolded it gently, deciphering the words as best she could. Asterisk, "They are coming for the necklace. Protect it at all costs. Trust no one outside the family. The truth will set us free, but only when the time is right." Asterisk. Emma's pulse quickened. Who were they? Why was her family in danger? The letter was a warning, a desperate plea from the past. Suddenly, footsteps echoed behind her. She turned sharply to see Daniel standing in the doorway, his face unreadable. "I had to know," he said quietly. "Why you left. Why everything fell apart. Emma's eyes searched his. Why didn't you tell me about any of this? About the threats, the secrets. Daniel hesitated, then sighed. I wanted to protect you. I thought ignorance was safer. But it wasn't, Emma said firmly. And now we're both caught in this. He nodded slowly. Then maybe we face it together. For the first time since the wedding fell apart, Emma felt a flicker of hope. Maybe Daniel wasn't the enemy she feared, but a partner she needed. They spent hours searching the mansion, uncovering more letters, hidden compartments, and clues about the family's hidden past. Each discovery deepened the mystery and the danger. As night fell, Emma and Daniel sat side by side, the necklace between them like a fragile bridge. We don't know who's after us, Daniel admitted. But we can't let them win. Emma looked at him, feeling the weight of her decision. Trust was fragile, but so was hope. Then we fight, she said quietly. Outside, the wind whispered through the trees, carrying secrets of its own. Emma knew this was only the beginning. The necklace was more than a gift, it was a challenge. And she was ready to face it, no matter the cost. Emma and Daniel moved cautiously through the dim corridors of the mansion, every creak of the old wood raising their senses to high alert. The shadows seemed to stretch and twist, hiding secrets in every corner. Yet the necklace, resting in Emma's palm, felt like a fragile beacon, something precious and dangerous all at once. Their search had uncovered more letters and cryptic notes hinting at a deeper conspiracy, one involving powerful people who had long wanted to control the family's legacy. Emma's fingers trembled as she unfolded another letter. The ink faded, but the urgency unmistakable. Asterisk, beware the ones closest to you. Trust only the heart that knows true pain. Asterisk. Emma looked up at Daniel, who met her gaze steadily. In that moment, she realized the journey ahead wasn't just about uncovering history. It was about choosing allies carefully and fighting shadows that could reach them anywhere. That evening, a knock echoed at the mansion's front door. Emma's heart leapt. She and Daniel exchanged wary looks before she cautiously opened it. A middle-aged woman stood there, her eyes sharp but kind. I'm Nora, she said softly. Your grandmother's oldest friend. I've been watching, waiting for you to be ready. Emma's breath caught. How do you know about the necklace? Nora stepped inside, glancing around before continuing. Your grandmother left more than just stories behind. She left protection. I'm here to help you understand everything. The three of them sat by the fire, Nora weaving a story that seemed both unbelievable and vital. She spoke of secret alliances, of a hidden society dedicated to preserving balance in a world of greed and power. Emma listened, her mind swirling with the weight of it all. But Nora's words brought something new, a thread of hope tangled within the danger. Your grandmother believed in you, Nora said. She trusted you to carry on the legacy. You're not alone. Emma looked at Daniel, feeling a fragile connection rekindling between them. This wasn't the wedding day she had imagined, but maybe it was the beginning of something real. Suddenly, the lights flickered and the old house seemed to hold its breath. A shadow moved outside the window, silent, watching. Emma's pulse quickened. The threat was close. Nora stood quickly. They're here. Daniel moved to the door, blocking the entrance with steady resolve. Whoever they are, they won't find what they're looking for. Emma clutched the necklace tightly, a spark of fierce determination igniting inside her. This was no longer just a story from the past. It was her reality. The night stretched on in tense silence, every sound amplified. But Emma felt something else too, the strength of her grandmother's courage flowing through her veins. She wasn't just a frightened woman caught in a web of secrets. She was a guardian. As dawn began to break, The danger outside receded like a storm passing. Emma, Daniel, and Nora sat together, exhausted but unbroken. Emma whispered, "I never wanted this. I wanted a simple life." Nora smiled gently. Sometimes the simplest lives are the ones that carry the heaviest burdens. Daniel reached for Emma's hand. "We face this together now." Emma nodded, the necklace shining softly in the morning light. The past was no longer a shadow lurking behind her. It was a force driving her forward. And as the sun rose, Emma felt ready to fight, not just for her family's legacy, but for her own future. Emma stood at the edge of the sprawling garden behind the mansion, the first light of dawn casting a golden glow on the diamond necklace resting against her skin. The weight of the past, of secrets, and of battles yet to come pressed on her, but she no longer felt alone. Beside her, Daniel's presence was steady, a silent promise that they would face whatever darkness awaited together. The revelations had shaken her to her core, but they had also awakened something inside, a strength she hadn't known she possessed. She thought of her grandmother, a woman who had fought in silence, protecting a legacy that was more than just wealth or power. It was about honor, resilience, and the courage to stand against those who sought to destroy what was precious. The necklace glimmered in the soft morning light, but now Emma understood its true value. It wasn't just a gift or a symbol. It was a shield, a link to a history that demanded she be brave. Daniel broke the silence. "What's our next move?" Emma looked at him, the man who had once been her fiancé, but was now something more complicated, an ally, maybe even friend. "We gather the truth. We find out who's after us and why. And we protect the family." Nora's voice came from behind them, calm and steady. "The road ahead won't be easy, but you're not the first to walk it, and you won't be the last." Emma nodded, feeling a quiet resolve settle within her. The necklace against her chest was a reminder that every challenge was an opportunity to heal, to grow, and to rewrite the story. Over the next few days, Emma and Daniel pored over the letters and documents hidden in the mansion's library. Each page revealed more about the secret society her grandmother had been part of, their mission to guard knowledge that could shift the balance of power. Emma realized this wasn't just a family secret, it was a responsibility. As they worked, Emma felt the distance between her and Daniel lessen. The anger and betrayal of the wedding day softened into something new, an understanding forged in shared purpose, and the desire to protect what mattered most. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a knock came at the door. Nora opened it to reveal a familiar face, an older man with kind eyes and a weary smile. "I'm Thomas," he said, "your grandmother's closest confidant. I've been watching over the family, waiting for you to be ready." Emma felt a surge of hope. The network of allies was stronger than she'd imagined. Together, they would face the shadows lurking in the past and present. With Thomas's help, they uncovered a plan by their enemies to seize the necklace and the secrets it held. Time was running out. Emma's resolve hardened. "We won't let them win." The days that followed were filled with careful strategy and quiet vigilance. Emma learned to navigate a world she never thought she'd be part of, a world of secrets, alliances, and danger. But amid the uncertainty, she found moments of peace. Sitting by the fire with Daniel and Nora, sharing stories and laughter, she realized that family was more than blood. It was trust, loyalty, and courage. The necklace, once a mysterious gift, had become a symbol of Emma's journey, from a bride whose wedding fell apart to a woman who embraced her true legacy. As the sun rose on a new day, Emma stood tall, ready to face whatever came next. The past had shaped her, but it would not define her. Because sometimes the greatest gifts come not wrapped in silk or velvet, but in the strength to uncover the truth and the courage to live it.